All right, let's talk about four letters that are completely reshaping the way things get done in Canada, especially when it comes to natural resources. FPIC. It stands for Free, Prior, and Informed Consent, and it's this incredibly powerful idea right at the crossroads of Indigenous rights and major development projects.
And really, this whole concept forces us to ask a huge question, one that's central to Canada's identity. How do we, as a country with so many natural resources, move forward in a way that truly respects the rights and sovereignty of Indigenous peoples? It's a massive tension, and FPIC is meant to be the answer.
To really get why FPIC is such a game changer, you have to understand the deep-seated conflict that's been a part of Canadian history for, well, a very long time. Think about it like this. On one side, you've got this powerful drive for resource extraction. We're talking mining, forestry, oil and gas, you name it. And on the other side, you have Indigenous sovereignty, this inherent fundamental right of Indigenous peoples to govern their own traditional lands. So when a big project gets proposed on those lands, these two massive forces are basically set on a collision course.
This isn't something that just popped up overnight. It's been a long and incredibly complicated journey. You can go all the way back to colonial policies, like the Indian Act in 1876, which tried to impose external control. Then you move forward to 1982, a huge moment when the Constitution Act finally recognized and affirmed Indigenous rights. But maybe the biggest turning point for this conversation happened in 2007, when the UN adopted UNDRP, the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. That really set the global standard and paved the way for how we talk about consent today.
So, with all that history in mind, let's actually break down what FPIC means piece by piece. Because this is so much more than just an acronym. It's a whole process, and it's rooted in basic human rights. At its very heart, FPIC is about the right to self-determination. And here's the most important distinction you need to remember. This is not just about consultation. It's not about just having a meeting. It's about getting genuine consent before anything happens that could impact a community's lands, their resources, or their culture.
So, first up, F is for free. This sounds obvious, right? But it's absolutely critical. It means a community's decision has to be their own, period. It has to be made without any pressure, without any intimidation or any kind of manipulation from powerful outside groups, whether that's a company or the government.
Next up, P stands for prior. This means consent can't be an afterthought or a last-minute checkbox to tick. It has to be sought way in advance, right at the very beginning of the planning stages, before major decisions are made and millions of dollars are spent. This gives communities the time they actually need to think it over, talk to their members, and really understand what's on the table.
Then we've got I for informed. This one is all about complete transparency. It's not enough to just drop a stack of technical reports on someone's desk. All the relevant information, the good, the bad, the potential risks, the potential benefits, all of it has to be shared in a way that people can actually access and understand.
And finally, the big one, C for consent. This is the whole point. It is the ultimate right for a community to say yes, to say no, or even to change their mind and withdraw their consent down the road. It makes it clear that this is an ongoing relationship, not a one-time deal, and it recognizes their authority over their own lands.
Okay, so those are the four pillars. But what does it look like when you actually put them all together in the real world? Let's walk through what an ideal FPIC process is supposed to look like.
You know, a successful FPIC process, it follows a pretty clear path. It all starts with preparation and research, then it moves into real outreach to build trust. From there, you provide all that comprehensive information we talked about, which allows the community to make a formal decision on consent. And it doesn't even stop there. It includes working together on implementation and monitoring long after.
And we have a really powerful example of this process in action with the Tilcortine Nation and a proposed mine. Through really deep dialogue, they clearly laid out their concerns about the environment and their culture. And because of that process, they successfully exercised their rights, and the project was ultimately rejected. It just goes to show how this process can empower a community to protect what's important to them.
But of course, the ideal isn't always the reality. Trying to implement FPIC is really complex, and it faces some pretty significant hurdles out in the real world.
The challenges are massive. For starters, you have this deep, historical mistrust that comes from generations of colonialism. Then you have capacity gaps. Some communities just don't have the resources to analyze these super complex technical proposals. On top of that, the legal interpretations can be inconsistent, and there's always the risk that this whole thing becomes just a superficial box-ticking exercise.
And that's really the core of the issue, isn't it?
Is a company trying to build a meaningful partnership that's actually based on respect? Or are they just going through the motions, treating it like a bureaucratic hurdle they have to clear to get a permit? Because that box-ticking approach, well, that's just a recipe for conflict and failure.
So with all these challenges, you might be wondering, why push through? Why is it so critical that we get FPIC right? Well, because the stakes are incredibly high, and they go way beyond just one single project.
First, and this is probably the most important thing, doing FPIC the right way is a powerful act of reconciliation. It's a real, tangible way to move past old colonial relationships and build new ones based on mutual respect and genuine partnership.
Second, it just leads to better results for the environment. Indigenous communities have this incredible, centuries-old, traditional ecological knowledge. When you bring their insights into the planning process, you get more responsible, more sustainable development that honestly benefits everybody.
And finally, at the end of the day, it's just a cornerstone of what ethical development looks like in the 21st century. It actually reduces conflict, it gives more certainty to projects and investors, and it makes sure that progress doesn't come at the expense of human rights.
So this all leaves us with a pretty crucial choice. Do we see FPIC as just a final destination, a last hurdle to clear before a project gets built? Or do we see it as the true beginning of the journey, the starting point for a whole new kind of relationship built on respect, partnership, and a shared future? The path we choose is going to define this country for generations to come.